you'll want to do with the mapping application is to ultimately bring in your own data. The data should be in the form of a comma-separated values format. In Excel, that is done as a save as CSV. Some versions of Excel, that might be Windows CSV. Choose either of those. The content of your data should always be rows and columns, and it's required that the very first record contain the names of your columns, because that is used in the mapping application for when you select different columns for different options. I suggest that you have the names of your columns be less than or equal to 15 characters at most, and be unique and not overly long, and that makes it easy to fit in typical drop-down lists and other selection parts of the interface. Here are three examples of typically the kind of data that could be brought into the application. In this first is a table by postcode containing a postcode column, and all of the other column contains a grouping name, such as you might use in territories and franchise areas. The minimum requirement for applications use of the data is that there be a postcode column. That way it can be related to the map. In this second example, again we have exactly the same structure, a header record containing the names of your columns, and then all of your data below it. In this case, this is used for value by suburbs, so you can see there are multiple value columns. And finally, the third example, we have point data, where it's intended that every record in this table be shown ultimately as a point on the map. Again, the same requirement, a header record at the top, and we have the postcode column. In these two cases, we actually have suburb level data, so we have a suburb level column as well. Also in this case, which we'll do in a later video, you'll see that there's attribute columns, parent name, and other attributes that we can use to ultimately color code the dots in different ways. So either way, the structure of the table is always the same: rows and columns, first record being the header record containing the names of the columns. So what we'll do is we'll start up the mapping application, and we'll get it fired up, ready to go. So you need to make the mapping application aware of your data, which is an import process. That import needs to happen anytime your data is new or changed from whatever source it is. So if it's in Excel, you do a save as CSV and save it somewhere conveniently, and then you can locate it and import it into the mapping application. We'll do that with the table import from file, in which case it'll present a browser. In this case, what we'll do is we'll choose the point table here, double click on it. It will automatically go and look at the names of your columns, pick out postcode if you can, PC, postcode, P-code, zip, all those kinds of names are automatically looked for and selected for you, in which case we do have an optional tick box here for suburb name columns. That's required. If your table is to be used at the suburb level, either by value or by point mapping, and it's suggested that you might use it anyway because it gives you a stronger validation of your data to make sure that all the records are correct. We'll leave off this two other at the moment. We'll go straight to import table. Now it's going to go through a import process and an indexing process and a validation process. It doesn't take very long. There are no particular limitations in terms of the number of columns or the number of records. In this case, because we've been able to tick suburb name column, it's giving us the highest level of validation, and it's giving us some warnings. This may or may not occur depending on the content of your data. If you're wanting to use your data 100% within the mapping application, I suggest that you go and have a look at the report file. It gives you a path name, which is a CSV file in the location of where the product is installed. Also, it's in the clipboard so that you can just paste it. You might need to go and edit your data a couple of times before you get a clean import. If 12 warnings are not important for you at the moment, you can go ahead and use that table. It's just that those records might be either degraded in accuracy or been unable to be matched to any boundaries on the map. It's up to you. So we'll press OK to that. We've been given the warning, and it's given us a success notification as well. We'll just minimize the application and have a look at this report. Here's a viewing of the files in the directory where the product was installed, and here's the name of the file that it's produced, and it's already been opened here. And you can see what it's done is to do a validation and giving you a record number and the content, and suggesting what it found was unable to be used. Some simple cases, for example, here we are at record 715, postcode 3109, East Doncaster. That's not correct. The proper name is Doncaster East. And so it will give you the best possible options for picking out what you most likely need to do, in which case it's found that it's looked at the postcode and found it's had these other options. And so you can choose and make your own decision as to what is the best option for you. And similarly for all these other ones, it can pick up spelling mistakes. Here we are, 2 T's in Mount, and it's only meant to be Mount. And other suggestions, it might be the postcode, it might be right, but the suburb name should change accordingly. And sometimes there might be impossible combinations. It's a good validation process, and I suggest that to be looked at and make sure that your data is clean and ready to go. And once that data is imported, it's ready for you to use. And what we'll do is we'll cover that in further videos.